Hello and welcome to the Coefficient Talks channel. So, the purpose of this channel is to fully understand the UEFA Coefficient system and how it affects the participating countries and teams. For instance, why does a country like Holland have two participating teams in the Champions League this year when Germany has four and a country like Cyprus has one? How does the participation in the different tournaments, such as Champions League, Europa League, and Conference League, affect the overall points? And what rankings are interesting for your team and your country? So, hopefully, at the end of this video, you will understand the systems better and know which upcoming games is potentially interesting for you and your team as the countries overall fight for these Champions League spots. The intention of this channel is to follow as the points develops throughout the season and talk about how it affects the rankings and the qualifying countries in the years to come. First of all, the number of qualifying teams for next year per country is actually already known, as it is based on the 5-year period that ended last June. So any results made this season affects participants in the season after next. As you can see from this chart, the top 5 countries get 4 Champions League places, whilst it then decreases as we get further down the list. Some ranking spots vary very little, whilst others see a big change between 2 spots. These will also be the focus on this channel. So, for instance, the difference between the spots from 5 to 7 is huge. Number 5 gets 4 Champions League teams, the Champions League, the champion, number 2, 3, and then number 4 plays qualifying, whilst number 6 only gets 3 participants, and number 7 only gets 2 participants in the Champions League. Only top 10 is actually ensured a participant in the Champions League, whilst top 15 has 2 qualifiers, and after that, there's only 1 qualifier per country. But there are also other spot changes, as you can see in Europa League and Conference League. Before we take a look at the current status, I would like to go through how each team collects points to the national rankings. So in the main stage, you get 2 points for a win and 1 point for a draw. And if extra time is needed, that is included in the result of the game. You then divide those points with the total number of teams you have participating in all 3 tournaments. So for England, they have 9 participants this season, but Cyprus only has 4. So for England, you would divide by 9, and for Cyprus, you divide by 4. In the qualifying stages, those points are halved, and in the upcoming playoff, there's actually no points at stake, except for some bonus points for progressing through that stage. Bonus points is a large part of the structure, and it's a way to balance the points earned between the different tournaments. So, as you can see here, the bonus point is taken from the UEFA's own website, and just by qualifying to Champions League, you get 6 bonus points. You do not get any bonus points for qualifying for Europa League or the Conference League. But if you end in the top 24 and qualify for the next round, you also get bonus points. As you can see here in this chart, this is the amount of bonus points you get. In Champions League, you get 12 for being number 1 in the league stage. Europa League, you get 6 points for being number 1 in the league stage. And in Conference League, you get 4 points for being number 1 in the league stage. Here, the rankings on the left shows that the end of last season, and on the right, we can see the current midway status after the league stage and before the knockout games begin on Tuesday. We can see big changes already, as Portugal has overtaken Netherlands for an extra Champions League spot, and Poland and Denmark has entered into the top 15, pushing out Scotland and Austria. As you can see on the right, it also shows the number of teams still active in the knockout stages. Season 2021 is of course no longer in scope, which has bigger impact on the countries that scored a lot of points that season. But this ongoing season, we have definitely seen some surprising developments as well that can have long-term implications on a few countries. So yeah, the biggest change are between 6 and 7 place, where Netherlands have had a very disappointing season so far, whilst Portugal has been having a very strong season, where almost all teams have been collecting a lot of points. But if you look a little bit further ahead, we can actually see that countries such as Belgium and Turkey and Greece and Poland have been having consecutive amazing seasons lately, and that can really propel them even further forward in their rankings. Belgium can now soon be competing against Portugal, Netherlands for the seventh and the sixth spot. On the other end, we have seen some poor performances from countries like Austria and Israel over the past few years, and that can really affect their ranking for the coming few years. In the fight for sixth place, we can see that Portugal still has four teams through in Sporting, Benfica, Braga, and Porto, whilst the Netherlands only has AZ Alkmaar left. This means that the Netherlands has little to no chance to make it back to sixth spot. The last nail in the coffin was when Benfica managed to beat Real Madrid in the last game in Champions League, and with a last minute header from the goalkeeper, saw them qualifying for the knockouts. If we look further down to the top 10 fight, we have Turkey, Czech Republic, Greece, and potentially Poland, who all has a chance of reaching that top 10 spot that secures the champion of their national league a Champions League group stage spot. Turkey has one team left in Champions League, one in Europa League, and one in the Conference League, whilst the Czech Republic has Victoria Plitzen in Europa League and two teams in Conference League. Greece is in a very strong position with Olympiakos participating in Champions League still, PAOK and Panathinaikos both still progressing in Europa League, and we have AEK Athens who are still in Conference League. Poland does have a chance, an outside chance of making it into top 10, and they have Raków, Jagiellonia, and Lech Poznan, all of them in the Conference League. In the fight for the top 15, we can actually see it is surprisingly settled. Denmark and Norway are too far ahead on points, and Scotland are now too far behind. Austria has no more teams left in the competition, so it is really between Cyprus and Switzerland. But since Cyprus has more teams and are already ahead on points, it will be a big surprise if Lausanne manages to get Switzerland back into the top 15. The defining moments so far has been that Poland managed to get all four of the teams into the Conference League group stage, where they have all performed well. Norway still manages to have two teams participating after Bodø had two very surprising wins against Manchester City and Atletico Madrid in January, which is during Norway's off-season. Denmark managed to have a strong showing from FC Midtjylland in the Europa League, which actually has them as one of the top teams this season, only outperformed on points by Arsenal and Bayern Munich. Austria was very disappointing, had several teams in the group stage, but they all disappointed and got eliminated. As you can see, the top team performance was from Sturm Graz with a meager 6 points. Scotland, both of their top teams, Celtic and Rangers, had individual crises early on in the season, which only Celtic managed to overcome in the group stage and qualify for the knockouts. Then there is also an extra fight for two extra spots. Those two extra spots in the Champions League comes from the two highest scoring countries in this season. And the first spot, as you can see here in this line here, is destined for England. But there is a very open fight for the second spot. It is between Italy, Spain, Germany, and then the surprise, Portugal. And even Poland might have an outside chance of getting that extra spot if they have strong performances still by all three teams in the Conference League. That would be a very, very surprising development for Polish football that historically has been placed far outside top 15 most years.